Rain battered the windows of the tiny Brooklyn cafe, but inside the world felt still too still. Elena's heart thudded as she stared at the text on her phone. Happy 28th, Elena. Hope you're still as stubborn as ever. Sophia. Her old rival, the one who'd once made her blood boil, had just cracked open a door to a past she'd buried years ago. Elena hadn't seen Sophia Martinez since their senior year at NYU, when their rivalry over the top spot in the journalism program had been the talk of the department. Sophia, with her sharp wit and sharper tongue, had always known how to get under Elena's skin. They'd competed for everything: grades, internships, even the attention of their professors. Elena had hated her for it, or so she thought. But that text, sent at 7:03 a.m. on her birthday, stirred something she couldn't name. Why did Sophia, of all people, remember? The cafe door chimed and Elena's breath caught. There she was, Sophia, striding in like she owned the place, her leather jacket slick with rain. Her green eyes locked onto Elena's, and for a moment, the world shrank to just the two of them. Didn't think you'd show, Sophia said, her voice low and teasing, as she slid into the seat across from Elena. I almost didn't, Elena replied, her tone guarded. She tucked a strand of chestnut hair behind her ear, trying to steady her nerves. Why'd you text me? Sophia leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. Because I couldn't stop thinking about you. Elena's coffee grew cold as Sophia's words hung in the air. The cafe buzzed around them, baristas calling orders, the hum of conversation, but Elena felt like she was drowning in silence. She wanted to laugh off Sophia's comment, to dismiss it as another one of her games. But the sincerity in Sophia's eyes stopped her cold. You don't get to say that, Elena said, her voice barely above a whisper. Not after everything. Sophia's confident smirk faltered, and she ran a hand through her sleek bob. I know I was intense back then. But I'm not here to fight, Elena. I'm here to make things right. Elena's mind raced back to their college days. She remembered the late-night study sessions where Sophia would challenge her every argument, pushing her to be better, sharper. She remembered the way Sophia's laugh could fill a room, even when it was at Elena's expense. And she remembered the night of the journalism gala, when Sophia had won the coveted internship at the New York Times. Elena had stood in the crowd, clapping politely, her chest tight with envy and something else she hadn't dared name. Make things right. Elena scoffed, crossing her arms. You stole my dream job, Sophia. You rubbed it in my face for weeks. Sophia winced, but she didn't look away. I was an idiot. I thought if I beat you it'd prove something. But all it did was push you away. Elena's throat tightened. She wanted to stay angry, to hold on to the grudge that had defined their history. But Sophia's vulnerability was disarming. She wasn't the untouchable queen bee anymore. She was just Sophia. A woman who'd remembered Elena's birthday when even her closest friends had forgotten. Why now? Elena asked, her voice softer. It's been 6 years. Sophia hesitated, then reached into her bag and pulled out a small wrapped box. She slid it across the table. Open it. Elena's hands trembled as she unwrapped the gift. Inside was a leather-bound notebook, its cover embossed with her initials. She opened it to find a handwritten note. For the stories you were always meant to tell. S. It's not much, Sophia said, her voice unsteady. But I've been carrying it around for months, waiting for the courage to give it to you. Elena's eyes stung with unshed tears. She clutched the notebook, her fingers tracing the embossed letters. You didn't have to do this. I wanted to, Sophia said. I've spent years regretting how I treated you. Thought maybe we could start over. The rain outside slowed to a drizzle, mirroring the shift in Elena's heart. She looked at Sophia, really looked at her, and saw not the rival who'd haunted her past, but a woman who was trying to rewrite their story. Could she trust her? Could she let go of the hurt? I don't know if I can, Elena admitted, her voice raw. But I'm here, aren't I? Sophia's smile was small but genuine. That's a start. They talked for hours, the conversation weaving through apologies, memories, and cautious hope. Sophia was now a freelance investigative journalist, her career thriving but her personal life a mess. Elena, a copy editor at a small publishing house, had settled into a quiet routine, her dreams of reporting buried under practicality. Yet as they spoke, Elena felt a spark reignite a hunger for the life she'd once wanted, and maybe for the woman sitting across from her. As the cafe emptied, Sophia reached for Elena's hand, her touch tentative. "Can I see you again?" she asked. Elena's heart raced. She should say no, should protect herself from the chaos Sophia had always brought. But the warmth of Sophia's hand, the sincerity in her eyes made her hesitate. "I'll think about it," Elena said finally, pulling her hand back but not breaking eye contact. Sophia nodded, her expression a mix of hope and fear. "I'll wait." As Elena stepped into the rainy night, the notebook clutched to her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. Sophia's words, her touch, her unexpected kindness, they lingered, pulling Elena into a dream she wasn't sure she could escape. Elena couldn't sleep. The notebook Sophia gave her sat on her nightstand, its presence a quiet accusation. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Sophia's green eyes, heard her low, earnest voice. "I couldn't stop thinking about you." The next morning, Elena sat at her tiny kitchen table in her Queens apartment, staring at the notebook. She hadn't written in it yet, afraid of what might spill out if she did. Her phone buzzed, and her heart skipped another text from Sophia. "Coffee again? Same place, 6 p.m.? Elena's thumb hovered over the reply button. She typed maybe and deleted it. Then sure and deleted that too. Finally she settled on, "I'll let you know." Work was a blur. As a copy editor, Elena spent her days polishing other people's words, but her own stories remained unwritten. She once dreamed of being a journalist like Sophia, chasing truth through war zones and city streets. But after Sophia had taken the Times internship, Elena's confidence had crumbled. She'd chosen stability over risk, and now at 28, she wondered if she'd lost herself in the process. By 5 p.m., Elena was pacing her apartment. Going to see Sophia felt like stepping into a storm, but staying away felt like cowardice. She grabbed her coat and headed to the cafe, her heart a tangled mess of nerves and curiosity. Sophia was already there, her leather jacket slung over the chair, her dark hair catching the light. She looked up as Elena approached, and her smile was like a sunrise, warm, disarming, dangerous. "You came," Sophia said, her voice soft with relief. "Don't get used to it," Elena replied, sliding into the seat. But her tone lacked conviction, and Sophia's knowing grin told her she'd been caught. They ordered coffee, and the conversation flowed easier this time. Sophia talked about her latest article, a piece on housing inequality that had nearly gotten her sued. Elena listened, captivated by Sophia's passion, the way her hands moved as she spoke, the fire in her eyes. It reminded Elena of why she'd been drawn to journalism and, if she was honest, to Sophia. "You still write?" Sophia asked suddenly, her gaze piercing. Elena hesitated, her fingers tightening around her mug. "Not really. Editing's safer." "Safer's not you," Sophia said, leaning forward. "I read your stuff in college, Elena. You had a voice. You still do." Elena's cheeks flushed. She wanted to argue, to say Sophia didn't know her anymore. But the way Sophia looked at her like she saw the person Elena had buried made her feel exposed, alive. "Why do you care?" Elena asked, her voice sharp. "You won. You got the life I wanted." Sophia's expression softened. "I didn't win anything. I got the job, sure, but I lost you. And I didn't even realize how much that mattered until you were gone." The words hit Elena like a punch. She stared at Sophia, searching for a lie, but found only raw honesty. "You didn't lose me," Elena said, her voice trembling. "You pushed me away." "I know," Sophia admitted. "And I'm sorry. I was young and stupid, and I thought being the best meant being alone." Elena's eyes burned. She wanted to stay angry, to cling to the safety of her resentment. But Sophia's apology, her vulnerability, was unraveling her defenses. "What do you want from me, Sophia?" Sophia reached across the table, her fingers brushing Elena's. "A chance. To be friends, maybe more. To figure out what this is." Elena froze, her skin tingling where Sophia's hand touched hers. She'd spent years convincing herself she hated Sophia, but now with their hands so close, she wasn't sure what she felt. Fear? Hope? Desire? "I need time," Elena said, pulling her hand back. "This is a lot." Sophia nodded, her eyes never leaving Elena's. "Take all the time you need." I'm not going anywhere. That night, Elena opened the notebook. Her pen hovered over the blank page, then began to move. She wrote about the cafe, about Sophia's eyes, about the ache in her chest that wouldn't go away. The words poured out, raw and unfiltered, and for the first time in years, Elena felt like herself. Over the next week, they met again twice. Each time, the tension between them grew, a delicate dance of glances and half-spoken truths. Sophia was careful, never pushing too hard, but her presence was relentless, pulling Elena closer with every shared laugh, every accidental touch. One evening as they walked through Prospect Park, the air crisp with autumn, Sophia stopped by a pond. The moonlight caught her face, softening her sharp edges. "You ever think about what could have been?" she asked. Elena's heart pounded. "All the time." Sophia turned to her, her eyes searching. "I used to think about you. Even when I was halfway across the world chasing some story. I'd wonder what you were doing if you were happy." Elena's breath hitched. She wanted to say something sarcastic to deflect, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she stepped closer, close enough to feel the warmth of Sophia's breath. "Why didn't you reach out sooner?" "I was scared," Sophia admitted. "Scared you'd hate me. Scared I'd ruin whatever this is before it even started." Elena's chest ached. She reached out, her fingers grazing Sophia's cheek. The world felt fragile, like it could shatter with a single wrong move. But in that moment under the moonlight, Elena didn't care. She leaned in, her lips brushing Sophia's in a tentative, trembling kiss. It was soft, fleeting, but it set Elena's world on fire. When they pulled back, Sophia's eyes were wide, her breath uneven. "Elena! Don't!" Elena whispered, her voice shaking. "Just don't say anything." They stood there, the night wrapping around them, and Elena knew there was no going back. Elena couldn't stop replaying the kiss. It haunted her dreams, her waking hours, the quiet moments when she should have been focused on work. Sophia's lips, soft and warm, had unlocked something in her, a longing she'd buried so deep she'd forgotten it existed. The next morning, Elena sat at her desk, her laptop open to a blank document. She'd started writing again, inspired by Sophia's gift, but every sentence felt like a confession. She typed, "I kissed her and now I'm terrified." She deleted it, her hands shaking. What was she doing? Sophia was her past, her rival, the one who'd broken her confidence. But she was also the woman who'd looked at her like she was the only person in the world. Her phone buzzed. "Sophia, can we talk? I haven't stopped thinking about last night." Elena's stomach flipped. She wanted to run to Sophia, to fall into whatever this was. But she also wanted to run away, to protect herself from the chaos Sophia brought. They met at a diner in Manhattan, the kind with sticky tables and neon signs. Sophia looked nervous, her usual confidence replaced by something softer, more vulnerable. "I didn't plan that," she said, stirring her coffee. "The kiss. I didn't mean to push you." "You didn't push me," Elena said, her voice quiet. "I kissed you." Sophia's eyes widened, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Yeah, you did." Elena blushed, looking down at her hands. "I don't know what I'm doing, Sophia. The suicide scares me." Sophia reached for her hand, then stopped, as if afraid to cross a line. "It scares me too. I've never felt like this. Not with anyone." Elena's heart raced. She wanted to believe Sophia, but doubt gnawed at her. "You say that, but you've always been larger than life. What if I'm just a phase?" Sophia's expression hardened. "You're not a phase, Elena. You're the only person who ever challenged me, who saw through my bullshit. I've been running from that for years." Elena's throat tightened. She wanted to trust Sophia, but their history loomed large, every argument, every betrayal. "I need to know this is real," she said. "I can't just fall and hope you catch me." Sophia nodded, her eyes steady. "Then let me prove it." Over the next few weeks, Sophia did just that. She showed up at Elena's favorite bookstore with a copy of The Bell Jar. Knowing Elena loved Plath, she sent Elena articles she'd written, asking for her feedback, valuing her opinion in a way she never had in college. And she really listened when Elena talked about her fears, her dreams, her quiet life. But the closer they grew, the more Elena's doubts surfaced. She couldn't shake the memory of Sophia's competitive edge, the way she'd once made Elena feel small. One night, at Sophia's apartment in the East Village, those doubts boiled over. They were cooking dinner pasta with homemade sauce, Sophia's idea of a peace offering. The kitchen was warm, filled with the scent of garlic and basil, and Sophia was laughing, her hair falling into her eyes. Elena watched her, heart swelling, but then Sophia mentioned the Times internship, a casual reference to the good old days. Elena's smile faded. "Good for you, maybe," she said, her voice sharp. Sophia froze, the wooden spoon in her hand still. "What's wrong? You don't get it, do you?" Elena said, her voice rising. "That internship was my dream, Sophia. You took it, and you didn't even care what it cost me." Sophia's face fell. "I cared. I just didn't know how to show it." "You didn't show it," Elena snapped. "You gloated. You made me feel like I wasn't good enough." Sophia set the spoon down, her hands trembling. "I was wrong. I was arrogant and I hurt you. But I'm not that person anymore, Elena. I'm trying to be better for you." Elena's eyes burned with tears. She wanted to believe Sophia, but the pain was still raw, a wound that hadn't fully healed. "I don't know if I can let this go," she admitted. Sophia stepped closer, her voice soft but urgent. "Then let me help you. Let me show you I've changed." Elena looked into Sophia's eyes, searching for the truth. She saw regret, hope, and something deeper, something that made her heart ache. She didn't know if she could forgive Sophia, but she knew she didn't want to walk away. "Okay," Elena whispered. "But I'm not promising anything." Sophia's relief was palpable. She reached for Elena's hand, and this time Elena didn't pull away. Their relationship grew in fits and starts, a delicate balance of trust and trepidation. They spent evenings exploring the city art galleries, jazz clubs, quiet walks along the Hudson. Each moment with Sophia felt like a gift, but also a risk. Elena was falling, and she wasn't sure if Sophia would catch her. One night, Sophia invited Elena to a journalism event, a panel discussion hosted by The New Yorker. Elena hesitated. She hadn't been to an industry event in years, afraid of facing her own failures. But Sophia's encouragement, her quiet belief in Elena's talent, pushed her to go. At the event, Elena felt out of place, surrounded by confident reporters and editors. But Sophia stayed by her side, introducing her to colleagues, praising her editing work. When a panelist asked for audience questions, Sophia nudged Elena. "Go for it," she whispered. Elena's heart pounded, but she raised her hand. Her question about ethics in investigative journalism was sharp, insightful, and the panelist's praise made her glow. For the first time in years, Elena felt like she belonged. As they left the venue, Sophia slipped her arm around Elena's waist. "Told you," she said, her voice warm. "You're a natural." Elena leaned into her, her fears quieting, if only for a moment. Maybe Sophia was right. Maybe she could be more than she'd let herself become. Elena's life began to shift. She wrote every day now, filling the notebook Sophia had given her with stories, essays, and fragments of her heart. Each word felt like a step toward reclaiming the woman she'd wanted to be. And Sophia was there, cheering her on, her presence a steady anchor in Elena's turbulent world. But trust was a fragile thing. Elena still woke some mornings gripped by doubt, wondering if Sophia's affection was genuine or just another competition. Their past was a shadow that lingered, and Elena couldn't fully shake it. One crisp November evening, they sat on a bench in Central Park, bundled in scarves and coats. The city sparkled around them, but Elena's mind was elsewhere. She'd submitted a piece to a small online magazine, a profile of a local activist, her first attempt at journalism in years. The editor's response was due any day, and the wait was agony. "You're gonna get it," Sophia said, her voice confident. She sipped her hot chocolate, her gloved hand brushing Elena's. "You don't know that," Elena said, staring at the ground. "What if it's not good enough?" Sophia turned to her, her green eyes fierce. "It's more than good enough. You're more than good enough. You just have to believe it." Elena wanted to believe her, but the old wounds ached. "You believed in yourself," she said quietly. "And you got everything you wanted." Sophia's face fell. She set her cup down, her hands clenching in her lap. "I didn't get you," she said. "And that's the one thing I regret most." Elena's breath caught. She looked at Sophia, saw the vulnerability in her eyes, and felt her defenses crumble. She reached for Sophia's hand, their fingers intertwining. "I'm here now," she said, her voice barely audible. Sophia's smile was radiant, but before she could respond, Elena's phone buzzed. She froze, her heart racing as she opened the email. Accepted. The magazine wanted her piece. She stared at the screen, disbelief giving way to joy. "Sophia," she whispered, turning to her. "They took it." Sophia's face lit up. She pulled Elena into a hug, her laughter warm against Elena's ear. "I knew it. I'm so proud of you." Elena clung to her, tears streaming down her face. For the first time she felt like she was enough not just for Sophia but for herself. Their relationship deepened, but it wasn't without challenges. Sophia's work often took her away late nights, sudden trips, stories that demanded her full attention. Elena tried to be understanding, but the distance stung. She'd opened her heart to Sophia, and every absence felt like a test. One night, Sophia canceled their plans last minute, citing a breaking story. Elena sat alone in her apartment, the notebook open but untouched. She wrote, "I'm falling in love with her and it's terrifying." The words stared back at her, undeniable. When Sophia finally called, her voice was exhausted. "I'm sorry, Elena. This story, it's big. I didn't mean to bail." Elena's throat tightened. "I know your work matters. But I matter too." "You do," Sophia said, her voice urgent. "You matter more than anything. I'll make this right, I promise." The next day, Sophia showed up at Elena's door with a bouquet of sunflowers, Elena's favorite. "I'm taking you out," she said. "No work, no distractions. Just us." They went to a rooftop bar in Williamsburg, the city skyline glittering below. Sophia was attentive, her focus solely on Elena. They danced to a slow jazz tune, their bodies close, and Elena felt the world fade away. When Sophia kissed her, it was deep and deliberate, a promise in every touch. "I'm in this," Sophia whispered against her lips. "All the way." Elena's heart soared, but fear lingered. She pulled back, her eyes searching Sophia's. "What if we crash and burn? Then we'll rebuild," Sophia said, her voice steady. "Together." Christmas approached, and with it a new tension. Sophia invited Elena to spend the holiday with her family in New Jersey. It was a big step, one Elena wasn't sure she was ready for. Meeting Sophia's family meant admitting this was real, that she was falling in love with the woman she'd once hated. The night before the trip, Elena sat with her notebook, writing about her fears. What if they don't like me? What if I'm not enough for her world? She thought of her own family, distant and conservative, who'd never understood her ambitions, let alone her heart. Sophia's family, she'd learned, was warm but opinionated, and Elena worried she'd be judged. Sophia sensed her hesitation. "You don't have to come," she said gently, sitting beside Elena on the couch. "But I want you there. I want them to know the woman I'm falling for." Elena's breath hitched. "You're falling for me?" Sophia's smile was shy, a rare glimpse of vulnerability. "Yeah, hard." Elena leaned in, kissing her softly. "Okay," she said. "I'll come." The drive to New Jersey was quiet, Elena's nerves a tight knot. But when they arrived, Sophia's family welcomed her with open arms. Her mother hugged Elena tightly, her brother teased Sophia about finally settling down, and her father asked Elena about her writing with genuine interest. For the first time, Elena felt like she belonged somewhere. As they sat by the fireplace, Sophia's hand in hers, Elena realized she wasn't just falling for Sophia, she was building a life with her. And that, more than anything, terrified and thrilled her. Christmas with Sophia's family changed everything. Elena returned to New York with a new sense of possibility, her heart fuller than it had ever been. But love, she was learning, wasn't a straight path, it was a winding road, full of unexpected turns. January brought a new challenge. Elena's article had gained traction, and the magazine offered her a freelance reporting gig. It was her dream, but it meant stepping into Sophia's world, competitive, high stakes, relentless. Elena worried she'd lose herself again, or worse, lose Sophia. One evening, as they cooked dinner in Sophia's apartment, Elena voiced her fears. "What if I can't keep up? What if I fail?" Sophia set down her knife, her eyes soft but fierce. "You won't fail. And even if you stumble, I'll be there." "We're in this together, Elena." Elena wanted to believe her, but the shadow of their past lingered. "You say that, but what if we're competing again? What if it tears us apart?" Sophia stepped closer, cupping Elena's face. "I don't care about winning anymore. I care about you. I care about us." Elena's eyes filled with tears. She kissed Sophia, pouring all her fear and hope into it. Sophia kissed her back, steady and sure, and for a moment, Elena believed they could face anything. The freelance gig was grueling. Elena spent long nights researching, interviewing, chasing leads. Sophia was her biggest supporter, reading drafts, offering advice, celebrating every small victory. But the pressure mounted, and Elena's old insecurities resurfaced. She saw Sophia's bylines in major publications and wondered if she'd ever measure up. One night, after a particularly brutal rejection from an editor, Elena broke down. She sat on her couch, tears streaming, the notebook open to a page of scratched-out words. Sophia found her there, her face etched with worry. "Talk to me," Sophia said, kneeling beside her. "I'm not good enough," Elena sobbed. "I'll never be like you." Sophia's eyes flashed with anger, not at Elena, but at the doubt consuming her. "You are enough. You're more than enough. Your voice, your heart, it's why I love you." Elena froze. "You love me?" Sophia's face softened, a shy smile breaking through. "Yeah, I love you, Elena. I think I always have." The words shattered Elena's walls. She pulled Sophia close, their lips meeting in a kiss that felt like a vow. "I love you too," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I'm scared, but I love you." Sophia held her tightly, her breath warm against Elena's hair. "We'll figure it out. Together." Spring arrived, and with it a new rhythm. Elena's articles began to gain recognition, her voice growing stronger with each piece. She and Sophia navigated their relationship with care, balancing their careers and their hearts. There were fights over missed dates, over stubborn pride, but they always found their way back to each other. One evening, as they walked along the Brooklyn Bridge, the city lights shimmering below, Sophia stopped. She pulled a small box from her pocket, her hands shaking. "I'm not proposing," she said quickly, her cheeks flushing. "Not yet. But I saw this and it felt like you." Inside was a delicate silver ring, engraved with a tiny pen. Elena's eyes welled up as Sophia slipped it onto her finger. "It's a promise," Sophia said. "That I'm here no matter what." Elena kissed her, the world fading to just the two of them. "I promise too," she said. Months later, Elena stood at a podium, accepting an award for her latest Articlia piece on queer youth in foster care, inspired by her own struggles with acceptance. Sophia was in the audience, her eyes shining with pride. As Elena spoke, she felt the weight of her journey, the rivalry, the pain, the love that had grown from it all. She ended her speech with a dedication. "To Sophia," she said, her voice steady, "you reminded me who I am, and I'll never stop dreaming of you." The crowd applauded, but Elena only saw Sophia, her smile brighter than the city itself. They'd started as enemies, but they'd built something strong, era love that had healed old wounds and promised new beginnings. As they left the venue hand in hand, Elena knew this was only the start. Their story wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. And that was enough. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.